Check one.
Good evening. See, Shannon, that's how it's supposed to work at home, too. Thank you all for being here. If someone would like to, if you'd like to speak at the call of the public, we do ask that you complete the blue cards out in the lobby, and then you can bring them up to us here, and then we'll call you up when it's time for the call of the public. With that, I'd like to call this governing board meeting of April 12th to order. It is 6:31. Lisa, roll call. Present.
Anna Marie Moore. Present. Tori Anderson. Present. Gary Miller.
Present.
Joshua Judd.
Present.
And with that, I would like to recognize Councilman Henry Wade in the audience and ask him to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. All right, adoption of the agenda. I do have one item that I'm going to pull from the agenda for tonight, and we'll revisit it at another meeting, and that's going to be item number 6H. Are there any other amendments or motion?
Are you talking about from consent?
From consent, 6H.
Are you putting it into action items?
No, we're just going to pull it from the meeting tonight, and we'll revisit it at another meeting.
I'm fine with that.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. All right, and I've called the public. Members of the board may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to ARS 38431, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to any criticism, or scheduling the matter for future agenda. The board requests that all comments be limited to 3 minutes or less, and that the board refrain from the use of speech or language that is offensive or inappropriate pursuant to board policy KFA. And I have one speaker card. Ralph Achu. And if you would, just the handheld mic and hold it really close so that everyone in TV land can hear you as well. Okay. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you to the board for letting me speak. I'm Ralph Achu. I was the Democratic candidate for state senate in this district in 2016, and I'm running again in 2018 for the state senate. I think after nearly a year since the passage of Proposition 123, it's fair to take a look at where Arizona stands. As of today, Arizona is still at the bottom of per pupil funding. Arizona is also at the bottom of teachers' pay. We now have a statewide shortage of 4,000 teachers, with another 24% eligible to retire in the next 2 years. Most school districts today continue to see nearly a 90% cut in facility maintenance that deals with buildings and school buses, leaving them vulnerable for disaster. The proposed 2018 state budget calls for pennies on the dollar for what is needed across Arizona. Teachers can expect a 0.4% pay raise, which comes to about $15 per month. Now that ESAs have been expanded, those are the vouchers, we have unneeded tax breaks for the wealthy who can already afford to send their children to private schools. There's little to no demonstrated improvement in education in any of these private schools, and we now have tax resources going to private schools with little to no accountability to the taxpayers. I think we can find a better solution, a solution that begins with stopping the cuts, the ideological tax cuts to the wealthy. With that money, with the additional revenue, I believe we can raise teachers' salaries to a base of close to $50,000 a year. This will ensure retainment and recruitment of quality educators. We can invest in the infrastructure that we need to repair in today's schools and begin to build the schools of the future. We need to have a state government that fully supports public education and school districts' efforts to reinvent themselves to offer parents and teachers and students the kinds of options that they deserve and are looking for. But I think the only way we can do that is to change who we elect as the governor of Arizona and who we elect to the state legislature. I think it's time that we stop the one-party domination that has made public education an enemy and begin to elect Democrats. Thank you very much.
Dr. Chestnut, Superintendent's report.
Thank you, President Gutray, members of the governing board. I have several things to report on tonight, but most importantly, we have a lot of student recognition. A lot of our student athletes have done some amazing things during winter sports, so we want to recognize them tonight, and their coaches are here with them. But before we start with our scholar athletes, we have a unique award for someone that I know you're familiar with. I want to tell you a little bit about this award and this person before I call him up here, but Evan Grace, for the second year in a row, was named as a 2016 local honoree for the Prudential Spirit of the Community Award. The honor was granted as part of the Prudential Spirit of Community Awards, a nationwide youth volunteer recognition program sponsored by Prudential Financial in partnership with the National Association of Secondary School Principals. As a result of this honor, Evan also received the 2016 President's Volunteer Service Award, along with a letter from former President Barack Obama thanking Evan for his devotion to service and for doing all he can to shape a better tomorrow for our nation. This honor was given to Evan to recognize his efforts for Relay for Life. This was his fourth year of participating in that event, and he's been an active participant every year. Last year, Evan was the top individual fundraiser for Maricopa, raising just over $3,000. And the last time I checked, he was over $1,000 for this year. He decided to not try to be the highest, but he ended up over $2,000, which is still a pretty remarkable number. So we're very proud of Evan. We'd like to have him come up and receive a certificate.
No, I prefer you not trip me. Thank you very much.
Next up, we have 4 winter sport teams that we want to recognize for some great accomplishments. And I want to start, we'll have each coach come up and talk about their athletes. And then we have certificates for each of them, and we'll do a picture for each team sport. I think we'll just do them one team at a time, rather than have them all stay up here, probably. That'd probably be easiest. So we want to start with girls basketball. And we want to recognize first Coach Melvin Mitchell for being named the 5A Metro Region Coach of the Year. So congratulations, Coach Mitchell. Proud of Coach Mitchell, qualified for the state tournament, and I'll let him talk a little bit about his girls at this time.
Good evening, everyone. I guess I'm the first one, so a little nervous, but we'll get through it. Talk a little bit about the girls. It's been great. It's been great coaching the girls, trying to change the culture, making them represent what's on the front of the jersey, so they don't have to go down the road to the Mountain Points and the Hamiltons and the Dobsons. You know, we want to make them stay right here at home and be proud of, you know, what they're representing at Maricopa High, not only athletically but academically as well, holding them to high standards and making sure they're doing what they have to do in the classroom first before they step foot on that basketball court. So it's been great to hold them to that standard, and I think that they have definitely adjusted, and they've done well. So without further ado, I'd like to recognize some of the girls that we have here tonight. I'd like to recognize first Jayla Johnson for receiving second team all-conference for the 5A Metro Conference region. I decided to recognize her first because she is definitely the shyest out of the bunch, so thought that was a safe one. Next player I'd like to recognize, she's done pretty much everything that you can imagine in a Maricopa uniform. She's been Player of the Year, Pinal County Player of the Year. She has been Metro Region 5A Conference Player of the Year, and frankly, I'm sad to see her go, and that's Tyra Williams. Next player we have, the future is definitely bright with this player. She has another year remaining. She is definitely someone who's going to carry us in the future. Very good kid academically and athletically, she's come a long way. And her parents know exactly what I'm talking about, and that is Sydney Callis. Also, I'd just like to recognize the girls before I turn it over for winning the 5A Metro Conference championship this year. Thank you.
Very proud of our girls' basketball team. Next up, we would like to recognize girls' soccer, and Coach Pedro is here, and I know he has a few things to say about his girls. So, Coach, come on up.
All right, thank you so much, Board and parents, thank you, and students. And yeah, first I'd like to say, I'm very proud of these girls for what they've done this year. When I came in, just real kind of crazy, different, but with high expectations, set some big goals for them, and they came through fairly strong, and a lot to do with these three girls that are here tonight. So I'd like to recognize. I'll start out with for 5A Metro second team all region. I've got here Taylor Russo. Is that correct? No? Not here? Is this voice? Okay, thank you. Okay, so that was the wrong one. All right, so do apologize. I do like to say something about the three ladies that are here. I'll start out with my second team, Metro Region Honors. And this young lady, she's an up-and-coming leader of the team. She's like the fastest girl I've ever seen. She glides, and she's she takes winning to heart. She has a knack for the game. She put things in perspective. She analyzes what she's done, and then gets mad for a second, and then gets over it and fixes it, and goes forward. So that's a really good trait to have, because you need that. You need to be able to see that you can't control the past. You can control what's in front of you. So I'd like to recognize my first one, Shannon Kutra, second team. Appreciate it. The next one is she's a sophomore, by the way, so she's got a couple more years to go. That's pretty awesome. The next two are senior, and I'll start out with Amanda. Amanda, she's really came forward this year and did some really good things. She takes feedback really well, which I didn't think she would, but she did. She puts the team ahead of herself, and that was a big change that she did. Ended up scoring 25 goals this year. That was amazing. So really carried the team on her back. Through pain and adversity, she came through very strong this year. So Amanda, you made first team Metro Region Honors first team. Thank you. Sácale el papelito. It's okay. And my other is another senior, and she happens to be the captain of the team. She has just some great attitude, and I really love that about her. She's very determined. She goes above and beyond. I mean, she led the team. I mean, she was like really there all the time. Now, she did tend to get a little distracted now and there, so I had to get her back in place. But for the most part, she's like ready and determined, ready to go. So, Lauren, you did a really good job. And again, first team, all region Metro. Thank you. Good job. And thanks, everyone, and thanks to these ladies. Congratulations.
Next, we'd like to recognize boys soccer coach Courtney Kellners.
Thank you. First, I want to say thank you. I appreciate this. It's fantastic to acknowledge all our winter athletes. They deserve it. Coach Pedro, girls made playoffs for the first time ever, so that's fantastic. Girls basketball is always, just killing it, so Coach Melvin continuing that. And boys basketball making the progress they've made. So it was a fantastic winter, I think, all around. So acknowledging that, thank you very much. Second, I want to apologize. I didn't know to invite a couple of my players, so unfortunately I only have a couple of them here. But it was a huge team effort, really, all the way around. We couldn't have done what we did this year and made the progress that we made without everybody kind of coming together as a whole. So it was absolutely fantastic. Our success on the field this year and making playoffs since the first time since we were a 3A team was really all because of our defense. Our defense was led by a couple absolutely amazing individuals, positive attitudes, hard workers, and did everything that they were told and worked their tails off for me all year. First, team captain this year was Elijah Aviles, and Elijah is the most vocal guy on the field and leads by more example than you could ever ask for. So, Elijah. Elijah got first team. Oh, I'm sorry. I had my order, but it wasn't the paper order. Elijah got first team all region this year, and our voting is still in, and I have my fingers crossed that he's going to be getting all 5A honors as well, so I'm hoping for that one. Second is Jacob Padilla, and Jacob Padilla really racked it in this year. He was voted Pinal County Player of the Year. He got first team all conference, first team pretty much everything. His team voted him MVP this year, and his rock solid defense in the middle really kind of held everything together with Elijah screaming behind him. It was hard to get shots on goal. So Jacob Padilla, first team. And then I do have, they're not here today, but freshman Taylor Russo really did amazing stuff this year, and the fact that he's a freshman is awesome. He got second team all-region, first team Pinal County, was voted by his team Rookie of the Year, things like that. So I'm really excited for Taylor and the future we have with him. And then junior Diego Castro got second team all-region as our leading goal scorer this year.
Finally, boys basketball. Is Coach Fuller here? Okay, well, that's okay. I'm ready to go. We're very proud of boys basketball team. Qualified and participated in the state tournament this year. Had a good season and had some postseason recognition for two young men that did a really excellent job on the court. And one of those, Daryl Handy Johnson, was given honorable mention for 5A first, Metro. So come on up, Daryl. And Josh Johnson was named first team all-region. Congratulations, Josh. Come on up. Very proud of our winter sport athletes, and hopefully have similar recognition for our spring sport athletes in a few more weeks. So congratulations. A few other things to report on. And let's see. High school report, Alyssa Hollingsworth.
So I haven't been here in a while, so there's a lot of stuff to talk about. But one of the things that we're working on right now is SPED prom, and Stuco is working with the SPED classes to plan their prom, and we're going to be going to their prom, and so that's one of like our projects right now. And then also we're starting to plan next year's prom, in addition to finalizing everything for this year's prom, which is on May 6th. So we've already started selling tickets for that, and it's going to be at the Phoenix Art Museum. And then we have some of the underclassmen starting to plan for next year. Also, we are starting our ABC countdown on April 19th, and that's kind of a fun way to end the year because we do Spirit Days every day for the last 26 days of the school year. So that'll start next week. And then we did our AZ Maricopa cram, which we did for finals back in December, and that was a success like the December one, so we're going to be planning another one for when finals happen in May. So we're going to do that on May 17th to kind of get everyone together so they can study for their finals and whatnot. We're also working on some senior events with, 43 days and 2 minutes until graduation. We have some stuff we're working on, like senior sunrise and sunset, the senior barbecue, buying the roses that all the seniors are going to get for graduation, and then we're also planning a new thing this year called the Senior Showcase, which is going to be like a talent show kind of thing on the second to last day of school, where seniors are going to kind of have a talent show to showcase all their things, since we'll have already taken our finals and stuff by then. So that'll be a good way to get all the seniors together before graduation. And yeah, that's it for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Alyssa. I want to report on a few things. On April 1st was Relay for Life, which is a big community event, and had the opportunity to go up there and participate with the Air Force Junior ROTC shaving cream fundraiser. And fortunately for me, Coach Chris McDonald showed up at about the same time. And the students know him a lot better. You can see they're lining up to throw shaving cream pie at him, just one right after the other. So I didn't get a good picture of the Air Force Junior ROTC group, but they did an excellent job and had a lot of fun with that. The Junior State Club was out raising money also, and that was cool, and got a picture of them doing their walks, so it was a good day. I want to report on some other things, and that is progress on filling our certified openings. As of today, of our 50 override positions, 41 of those are filled. So we're proud of that. Principals and teacher interview teams have been working hard to fill these positions. There are still a bunch of them open, and we actually, as you can see at the bottom there, we have a total of 33 positions still open. That does include the 9 override positions. But as you know, any school district of any size, we have attrition. We have people that retire, or their spouses move, or they take another job or whatever, and so we have openings for that reason. And so we are working hard to fill all of those openings. Maricopa High School, as you can see, has the most openings, but it's also by far the largest school. So they're looking for 4 English teachers, for example, and I know that they're doing English interviews this week. So hopefully we'll continue to fill those. We'll keep you posted. It's a big effort. Mr. Beckett's been going to multiple job fairs in-state and out-of-state. Principals have been helping with those job fairs. We've really been looking everywhere and doing everything we should be doing to fill these. So we're optimistic that we can do it in the middle of a statewide teacher shortage. It's not easy, but we're making progress. We think we have some good things to offer people that are looking for teaching jobs, and we're looking for great teachers. So anybody that's interested should contact our HR department. They can find all that information on the school district website. I want to report that Santa Cruz Elementary is ready for Maricopa seniors. I want to thank Mr. Roush, the maintenance department, custodians who got that facility ready. So you can see we had to remodel the fence. So that is the wing on the northwest side of the campus, on the playground side. And it used to be that Foursquare area was part of the playground. But, you know, we don't want to have our seniors check into the office. We don't want to have them fill out, fingerprint cards and all that kind of stuff to be able to mingle with the students. So we're just going to keep them separate, according to board policy and state law. So we just rearranged the fence, and so those seniors can just walk straight into the building. And they are using those two classrooms that would be closest to where that picture is being taken from, in that northwest corner of the building. Those two classrooms, the restrooms are right there. It's a pretty good arrangement. They'll be using it 2 days a week. And then on breaks, the city, and the rest of the time they're at Copper Sky, but during break times, the city uses those rooms at Copper Sky for student activities. So winter break, spring, fall break, summer, we'll have seniors 5 days a week at Santa Cruz. So we think it's going to work well. The city picked up the keys today. I don't know exactly what day they're planning to start, but could be tomorrow, could be this week sometime, and we're looking forward to having them. We think it'll work really well, so that's kind of exciting. Want to remind you that math curriculum materials are still available for review in room 120, which is right behind that wall right there. They are available during regular business hours to the community to come in and look at the 3 vendors that we are considering, to fill out a form. The last day to do that would be April 28th, so that's coming up quickly, and then we'll be bringing a recommendation to the governing board. So that's a pretty exciting project that we're working on. Also, want to remind you again about the Art Walk on May 4th, 4:30 to 6:30. That's supposed to be PM, not OM, but that's the annual MUSD Art Walk. We have 2 really cool posters, and in fact, I have 2 extras right here. Students at Maricopa High School graphics classes made these posters. You're welcome to take one of those with you if you would like. Very well done, very artistic as you might expect. So that's always a really big event, and we invite the public to attend that, and it's always a really nice way to showcase the work of our students. And that's all I have.
Man, how room can clear out. Okay, governing board member reports. Mrs. Anderson, we'll start with you tonight.
So let me start with March. March 31st, the high school did their high school prom fashion show, along with conjunction with Families First and Be Awesome Kids organization, which is an after-school program. What an amazing show. I mean, those that went, talk about, first of all, talented students. But it wasn't just, I grew up in the fashion industry, so, you know, a fashion show, you've got a runway, you turn it. This was choreographed scenes for each set of clothing. Incredible. The dancing, the music, the band, it was just an amazing night. So I was so proud to be in the audience and be just see what these kids and what the adults, because I know, as a matter of fact, I was talking to a teacher, I know how much time the adults put into a production like that. And so thank you to the adults, the parents, the teachers, the leaders that put the time in to put that on, because when students participate in something like that, I know that it makes a difference in the way they perceive the world. So I was just amazed, and I look forward to it. This is the 3rd year I've been able to go, and it's incredible. So and if you haven't gone, you need to go, because it gets better and better and better. So that was the highlight of my month, so I wanted to put that out there. I will be attending the Flagstaff Leadership Conference, which is this summer. It's in June, so I just want to let the board know that. And then I've also been asked again to be a part of the Legislative Committee, which we meet June 2nd. So I'm honored to be a part of that. So other than that, it's been pretty calm. I think it's the calm before the storm, because May is always crazy. But I'm very proud of this community and our students and our parents. So thank you.
Attended the May 1st Maricopa Relay for Life to prove my love for Mary Grace and Evan Grace. I showed up with a bra and walked those 2 laps with Henry Wade to show support for that cause. So that was a great thing to be a part of, and thank you for the invitation. Concerning, and I believe Mr. Atchu had mentioned it during Minutes of the Public, The SB 1431 that was signed into law and is now the Empowerment Scholarships, I just wanted to speak to that very quickly so that the public understands. It is basically money for going from taxpayer dollars to the option to be able to attend a private school. And everyone that I've talked with, both in MUSD and outside of MUSD, it's a concern. But the bigger concern is that this law is by no means finished. There is a very important part to the law that is a 30,000 enrollment cap. So I want parents to be aware of that cap. If there is any discussion of removal of that cap, it is going to be on up to the residents of Arizona. If you disagree with that, if you support public education, to fight against the removal of that cap. As it stands now, I don't foresee any significant harm to MUSD, but the removal of that cap is a significant aspect of that law. So I want residents to be aware of that, and if there is discussion of removal of that cap, please contact your representatives and your state senators. Thank you.
Dr. Miller.
Board members, I'm sure by now we've all received the email from ASBA regarding the webinar for board docs, so I did register for that, and so it'd be a way for me to kind of dive a little bit deeper into board docs about the agendas and how to track the board goals. So I thought that would be interesting to participate in. So I will engage in that. Also, I will go to the bring my children to the art walk. I know every year my kids, do some art, and it's always great to see everybody, coming together on their projects from elementary to middle school and high school, and all the creative things and great ideas that our district students have to offer. And also, tomorrow, I believe it's tomorrow, Dr. Chestnut and I will be walking through Saddleback, and so I'll plan on doing that tomorrow. And also, I had the opportunity, I was invited by one of our DECA stars, Freya Abram, and her mom, to listen to her DECA presentation, and it was very good. And so Vice Mayor Marvin Brown and Helen and I got to listen to her presentation, provide some feedback, and she may be presenting to the City Council as well before, I believe it's in this month that she goes to Anaheim. So, and also I didn't realize that her whole business plan structured around Our Lady Grace and your carnival and how to innovate that. So I thought that was really great, that it was a local innovation that she was working on.
She's got some really good ideas.
Oh, without a doubt. And she's a great speaker, And I believe that's all I have to report at this moment. Thank you.
Sure, just briefly, I spent quite a bit of time at the Capitol over the last couple of weeks and in the midst of the whole ESA debate and discussions. And I do want to point out that Senator Bob Worsley is the reason why they have that $30,000 enrollment cap. And so he really worked hard and fought for that because originally that was not going to be part of it. So we do owe him a lot of kudos. He serves in the East Valley Legislative District. And other than that, I don't think there's anything else to report. That was been crazy.
Our next few meetings we're probably going to have a lot to report. So just as Mrs. Anderson said, the ASBA Summer Leadership Conference is open. If you're planning on going to it, it's June 8th through the 10th. Hotel rooms go fast, so even if you're thinking about it but you're not quite sure, please tell Lisa, at least book the room now so you have the room, because everything is held there. They do have a lot of overflow hotels. So it's a really good conference. It's a really nice area. I'm going to be glad to go back up to Flagstaff instead of Tucson. Also, Lisa sent out the May calendar with all of the celebrations. Please make sure that you get back to her as soon as you can. And we try to split them up. Mr. Judd, this is your first time doing this, so what we try to do is for the elementaries and the middle schools that we try to split up so that we try to represent as many as we possibly can. So that, if you can take a look at that. And also I want to thank Lisa and our wizard in the back for making sure that our pictures that we took are now on the website. So if you click on the governing board, you can actually put a face with a name, which I think will be very helpful, and I hope that the community feel more comfortable approaching us and contacting us and sharing their concerns and their questions with us. So. Yeah.
Past, if you attempted to contact me via email, it may have been going to the previous member in this seat, but that has been corrected. So if I did not get back to you, it did not reach me, but that has been corrected. So I just wanted to point that out.
All right. With that, let's move on to our information work study items. I'm so excited. Pima Butte's in the house. Mr. Lazar.
Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Chestnut, thank you for inviting Pima Butte to showcase our school and the wonderful things going on this year at the board meeting. Before we get started, I'd like to invite some of our speakers to come on up. If I can have Ms. Palmer, one of our teachers, Mrs. Vieira, our academic coach, Mrs. Fisher, one of our teachers, Mrs. Raggets, another teacher, Mrs. Ansley. And then also we have 3 of our student council members, Lauren, Bella, and Peyton. Then also from our PTO, we have Mrs. Hill and Mrs. Mayberry. And then also a couple other parents who will speak, Mrs. Baca and Mrs. Ross. Okay, the way that we're going to do this evening is we have a lot of different pictures that will serve as talking points for us, and we just want to highlight some of the things that we're most proud of at Pima Butte. So when I met with our leadership team at Pima Butte and also with the Pima Butte Site Council, we discussed what would be the topic that we would be most proud of at our school, and with both committees, it both came down to the same items. We're most proud of our parent participation and involvement in our school, and also the role of our student council in planning events that involve our parents and positively impact our school spirit. So with that in mind, some of the slides that are up, or some of the pictures on the first slide, I'm going to have our PTO president, Mrs. Hill, come on up and just highlight some of the key items that the PTO has been doing to involve our parents at Pima Butte. So Mrs. Hill.
Thank you. Is it going to go one slide at a time or no? Oh, they're just all together. Okay, then I'll go ahead and start. So this was our 3rd year of holding our Mustang Maniac obstacle course race, which is our big, kind of our only fundraising event of the year, and it was also our most successful year. We made a total of $11,283 for the school, so that was huge. And then we did a big Santa's Supper event, which, well, that's not a fundraising event, it's just a fun event for the families to come to, which we packed the house. We had to have 2 different times for dinners because we had well over 400 people attend. Between the raffle that we did and a Santa's workshop we put on, we still made around $1,500. As far as other things to get the families involved, we had both a Donuts for Dads and a Muffins for Moms this year. And in both of those, we had, for Donuts for Dads, we had 161 dads come. And for Muffins for Mom, we had 160 moms. And on both of those, it was like about a total of 400 to 450 total. So we had like 250 students and then the 160 parents. So almost half of our students attended with the parent, which was awesome. Assemblies is a big focus for Pima Butte with our fundraising money. So far, we've had the BMX Character Counts bike assembly, and then we also brought back Deb's Dragons this year, which we do 6 little mini assemblies, so all of the grades get to come in and experience that. And then still coming up, we have our big Teacher Appreciation Week, where we get the parents involved by having a day where the parents actually sign up to bring desserts and drinks and items for the teachers. And we have our big 2nd annual Water Day coming up in May. I think that's it. We're excited.
Okay, just want to point out with the laser pointer right up here, that's the BMX bike assembly. And then we have our Deb's Dragons, and one of our students who happens to be in the audience had this large snake resting on her lap, and you can see the excitement from that. Also, this is from our Santa's Supper, the obstacle course race. And then we're going to speak about some of these other items. But now if I can have Mrs. Ross come up, we have a program that has been known as Meet the Masters, but really it's art appreciation. So I'll have Mrs. Ross say a few words about how this art appreciation program has been working at Pima Butte, as well as the parent volunteers who help work with our students.
Thank you. So our art appreciation classes that we do, it's taught by volunteers, all by volunteers. We have about 25 volunteers at Pima Butte, and in fact 5 of them are here tonight, including Anna Marie Knorr. And what we do is we get together once a month for an hour with the children, and we have a 15-minute slideshow where we show them some of the key things, important things about the artist, the style in which they painted, and that kind of thing. And also we incorporate history into it. What was going on at the time period that the artist was alive, and how did that influence and affect the artist? Then the children get to do an art project based upon what they learned. So this was the Georgia O'Keeffe lesson. I just have a few. Pablo Picasso. And they do much better than I do. Paul Cézanne, which was fun. And the best one. Would you hold this for me? Yes. Henri Rousseau. This one was the most fun. The kids loved the lions and the cheetahs. So we have a lot of fun with it. The kids really enjoy it. And honestly, I think the parents enjoy it as much as anybody does. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Ross. If I can have Mrs. Baca come up next. Mrs. Baca is going to be talking about an activity we do with our kindergarten students. Each year, right before winter break, our kindergarten students make gingerbread villages, and a lot of parents help out with that. So I'll have Mrs. Baca speak to that, as well as her other involvement at Pima Butte. So Mrs. Baca.
Good evening. Yes, every year they have the gingerbread houses for the kindergartens, and that is a really nice, fun activities. The parents involved are really awesome. I mean, in Miss Dyer's class, I think every child had a parent that attended on that day. It gets really busy, and it's so fun. The children just love the gingerbread houses. I also help out a couple of the teachers on a weekly basis. I go in and help them do copies or lamination, or help them in the classroom if they need help. So I've been doing that. And also I'm on the yearbook committee. I sit in on the meetings so we could decide which goes into the yearbook and what doesn't, and that's a lot of work. So, and I participate in a lot of the activities that I'm available for, and I just love Pima Butte.
Thank you, Mrs. Baca. Okay, our next speaker will be Miss Palmer, and she's going to talk about what's called Parent Pride, and I'll have her explain what that is about, and she's also going to talk about Math Night.
Good evening. This year we decided to involve our parents a little bit more with student-led conferences. We had parents come in after conference, or during conferences actually. We gave them a sticky note and we left some hanging on the wall, and we put these posters around our school campus and had parents leave positive notes about their students' progress or what they were most proud of throughout the year. This picture is actually one from the second semester. Our first one that we did at the beginning of the year was amazing. It was full. Parents were so excited to do it, and the kids look forward to seeing that stuff hanging on the campus all year. And then our math night, excuse me, our annual math night is one of our biggest things to pack our campus with. We have families come from kindergarten up through 6th grade. Each team comes together and makes activities for each grade level to participate in, and that is one of our biggest things to get our families in and involved in each year. And our biggest draw for that is always our cakewalk, which is always a packed house. So that's one way that we like to have our families be involved in October each year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Palmer. Okay, before I turn to the next slide, I'm just going to highlight a couple of things our student council will speak about. We have mother-son barbecue, which this is just a picture from that. Also, we have the father-daughter dance, which occurred back in February. And then also just wanted to highlight math night. This was in our cafeteria. Again, our cafeteria just gets packed with people as well as other parts of our school. Okay, our next page is going to highlight a lot of our student council activities. So I'd like to have Lauren and Bella and Peyton come on up. They're all going to take turns speaking to what student council does along with Mrs. Ansley, one of our student council sponsors.
And Mrs. Hilsinger joined us. Good evening. My name is Mrs. Ansley, and I work alongside Mrs. Hilsinger with our outstanding Pima Butte Student Council. Our fabulous Mustang parents are able to get their students to our meetings, which occur before the regular school day begins twice a month. Our superb student council is responsible for maintaining a fun-filled school year. They promote a number of activities, from morning announcements to monthly spirit days to fun family activities. And here are some of our wonderful Pima Butte Mustang student council members.
So one of our events that we had was the mother-son barbecue. And in this event, we had the mothers and their sons come after school, and we hosted like a barbecue. So we had the girls, student council members, help outside with stations, games, and inside we helped pass out food. There was a lot of people that participated in this. We had the most tickets sold this year. It was 219 tickets. And so, yeah.
Another fun thing we do at Pima Butte is Spirit Days. We make posters in student council, and some of the ones that we have had is book characters, PJ Day, Wacky Wednesday, and Disney Day.
We also did the father-daughter dance. Student council also sponsored this event. The boys from student council worked and passed out food and snacks. A lot of people came to this event as well. 252 tickets were sold, and a lot of planning went into this event. Student council worked on it for a few weeks.
Okay, so in the mornings we have morning announcements where me and a student council officer will help. We will talk about the upcoming events in our school and our expectations. And we'll also have a class representative give the lunch menu.
We also do Student of the Month, where officers take turns painting students' hands, and one student from each class gets their painted handprint on the wall for showing excellent character and behavior, and the historian will take pictures of the students and their painted hands.
Okay, I'd like to thank Mrs. Hilsinger, Mrs. Ansley, Bella, Peyton, and Lauren for presenting on student council. Okay. Also, one thing I just wanted to highlight in terms of sports, this was our intramural soccer team. And the thing I wanted to highlight about our soccer team, not only did our coach, our PE coach, Mr. Leva, coach the soccer team, but we also had a parent volunteer serve as an assistant coach who came to the practices and helped with the students as well as go to the various games at our different schools. And now I would like to have Mrs. Raggets come up and speak about our robotics club.
Sorry. Oh, shoot. Sorry, I have a cold. Anyways, I coach the robotics club, and at the beginning of the season, we had to get everything together, and since I was new to the school, I had to use parent volunteers to help me get everything organized and put together. And then after I had gone to the first competition, the kids came back and they said, you know, well, our parents said we should do this, and they said we should do that, which are all things I had already told them. So I went ahead and I got those parents to come in and volunteer, and it turned out wonderful. We went from last place to fifth place. Anyways, thank you. Get away from that.
Okay, our next presenter is going to be Mrs. Fisher. She's going to talk about our parent participation with field trips.
Good evening. Over the past few years, we've seen an increasing amount of parent participation in a lot of our activities. But this year, I just wanted to highlight how many parents we have wanting to spend time with their children at school events. For our second grade field trip, we had almost 60 parents attend our last field trip. They represented our school with dignity and respect and kept our kids safe, and it was so nice for that day to know that my babies were in good hands if I couldn't be with them every second of the day. And I think for our next one, we've got 12 or 13 already, and so I don't know if that says more than what we needed to, but it's nice having them around, and it's nice having them help and them getting to see what their kids get to do during the day. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Fisher. And regarding the Spirit Days, again, if you see this one picture in the lower right-hand corner, these are some of our teachers who dressed up at our last Spirit Day, which was favorite book character. And again, a lot of our students dressed up as well. So again, Spirit Days really bring out a lot of participation. Okay, so how can we improve upon what we've already been doing in terms of our parent involvement and participation, as well as our student council? Just wanted to point out a few things. With our PTO activities that they do throughout the year, we could always use additional parents to help with different events that PTO sponsors. Also, in the very front of our school, in our drive-through area, right now we have our office staff that are kind of watching the cars go through when the kids are arriving. We could really use a few parents to help with that activity so that we can have our office staff back in the office to help with first initial day business. Also, we have snowies that are sold like every other Thursday during the warm months, and we have a couple parents who help with selling the snowies, but we could always use a few more parents to kind of rotate the duties for that. And also, with the art appreciation, formerly known as Meet the Masters, we could always use additional parent volunteers to help work in our classrooms to teach the students about the art techniques. And then finally, if you all know Mr. Irving, he's our lead volunteer coordinator. He comes to Pima Butte basically every day to help with our kindergarten lunch duty, and we could always use additional parents for our primary grades to just help with opening packages, directing the students where to be sitting, where the restrooms are, and just getting through the lunch time process. So again, we could use more parent volunteers in a lot of different ways, so that's how we can improve upon what we've already accomplished at Pima Butte. So now we just want to see if anyone has any questions about the Pima Butte campus.
Well, thanks for everybody coming here to present. Unfortunately, it is the season for the fly, so I apologize for that. Don't be too embarrassed. So we all understand. We all live here in Maricopa, so it's all good. So, well, thank you for presenting, and it's awesome what your PTO is doing. I mean, it's amazing, and I mean, there's probably I don't even know what to say. It's just, I'm just really overtook of all the great work that everybody's doing. And I understand that PTO, I believe you're having elections here soon. Okay, so good luck with that. And I just hope that, everything will go smooth, as I'm sure it will, because you guys rock. One question that I do have, now that this will be a transition for all the schools, for the 6th grade moving over to the middle school, and I know you've been preparing the students and parents, but could you paint a picture and kind of tell us what it is that you have done and with that transition?
Well, what we've done, and we do this each year, is we had our 6th graders and our 5th graders go on a tour. Since we go to Desert Wind, they went out to Desert Wind on 2 different days earlier in March, so that they can see the campus and get a feel for what they're going to be going to for next year. We also have set up times for the Desert Wind staff to come to our school. In fact, they'll be with us tomorrow to speak to our 5th graders and our 6th graders about the blended learning program, as well as registration and answering questions for what's going to be going on at the middle school. And then, we just sent out letters to our 5th and 6th grade parents to let them know about the change and that the students will be going on to Desert Wind Middle School. We let them know about an open house that was sponsored by Desert Wind, where, again, they were able to go out in the evening and tour the campus and have questions answered about the programs at Desert Wind as well as the blended learning program. And then we're also just going to be coordinating with Desert Wind on what materials and furniture we need to take over to their school, and then also just get our students ready for promotion. We'll be having a 5th grade promotion ceremony on May 22nd in the evening, and we'll have a 6th grade promotion ceremony on May 24th in the evening so that we could recognize both sets of students that will be leaving. We're also going to be holding a recognition parade within our school of our 5th grade students going through the hallways so all of our other grade levels can applaud them, as well as our 6th graders. And then we're also having the high school students come who used to be Pima Butte students, and they're going to come do a parade through our school as well as speak to our 5th and 6th graders.
And so say I'm a new parent in town, and I'm going to enroll them in Pima Butte, and I call your school. What would be the process for parents, the new parents, or parents are planning to enroll their children at Pima Butte? What's the best process to schedule? Do you do tours or like certain days? Is there somebody that the public should talk to? What's the best process for that?
Well, for any grade level, when parents move to the area and they're looking to enroll their child, they'll either call or they'll even stop by, and my front office staff will explain to them the enrollment process. They'll give them the enrollment packet. Also, if the parent would like a tour, we'll take them on a tour of the school. We don't really have any set times. It's just when the parents come, we take them on a tour or we explain that information to them. Now, for our incoming kindergarten students, we had a kindergarten roundup last Tuesday evening, and we had a great showing for that. About 39 families showed up to hear about kindergarten, also toured the school, and we again explained about the enrollment process with them. So we, again, we just try to work and accommodate with the parents' schedule. When they can come, we show them around and explain how things work at Pima Butte. Okay.
I want to take a moment and say a personal thank you to all of you for educating my 3. I had pulled them out of Kyrene specifically to put them with you guys, and you've done an amazing job. And just the amount of time additionally outside of school that you spent as a part of the override, as a part of that effort. You guys are just the model of what a school should be in Maricopa, so I just wanted to say thank you.
Well, thank you.
So looking at your test scores, they look incredible. So I think that's a huge accomplishment. The question I have is, our 6th grade continues to struggle, and even your 6th grade scores. So what would your wish list be that would help your students that are now going to be 5th grade going to 6th grade? And it's not just Pima Butte, it's across the district. 6th grade seems to struggle. How can we better prepare our 6th graders for middle school, which are now going to be your 5th graders? But I think the 6th grade class, I know things go in cycles. As a teacher, you can see, a kindergarten class and their assessments kind of follow them through the district. So how do we catch this 6th grade class up?
Well, I would say we should be looking at the current resources we have. We have our pilot math curriculum that we're utilizing and seeing how that can help prepare our students. There's also online math supports that we can be doing. We do that during class time as well as either before school or after school. I think it's a matter of doing, we're using Galileo, so looking at the Galileo assessment results and looking at where are the students struggling the most, and then pinpoint those areas to work on reteaching certain math skills. Because there's a huge difference from 5th grade math to 6th grade math. And I think that's the big canyon that we got to cross, not only here in Maricopa, but across the country and in Arizona, that there's just a big explosion of it, so much more math concepts and abstract thinking that the students need to learn. So it's just a matter of spending the additional time on working on all those various math concepts. Again, doing assessments often within Galileo or any assessment system we would have. There's a way of assessing students frequently, doing quiz builders, so students are used to doing the math problems on the computer and then analyzing how are they doing, where are they still struggling, and just keep reteaching those skills that the students are struggling with. So it's just going to be an ongoing effort of teaching, assessing, maybe reteaching, modifying, and just keep going through that cycle till we get our kids caught up and raise the scores.
Okay, I appreciate that. And this might be, I don't know if this is for you or Dr. Chestnut. When do we get our post-test scores? Because I know because right now we have the pre-test scores, and I'm just wondering when we're going to get the post-test scores.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Wade, do you know?
We just, yeah.
Okay. Okay. No, I'm just curious to see the growth. I'm sure all you are too. So,
Yes.
so that we can get ready for next year. But
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Our kindergartners just started testing this week, first grade. We have some more tomorrow. So we're going to be doing Galileo testing actually the next several weeks to get all the grades through.
And does your internet go in and out, or are you pretty good?
You know what? We've been pretty fortunate, would
Okay.
you say, on our internet. We've been
Good
using,
answer, good answer.
We've been using Chromebooks, our computer lab, and also we've been using iPads.
Okay. No, I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm proud of what you're doing, and thank you for everyone for being here tonight. I know it's a school night, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anything else?
And I echo all of the comments that Mr. Judd made about Pima Butte and the teachers and the PTO and the parent volunteers. You guys are amazing. I see it every day, so thank you. Since we're talking about testing, and on the agenda tonight is this adoption possibly of a new testing program, I was wondering if any of the teachers here did any of the sampling and if you have any comments about School City or before we adopt it.
You would need additional resources to be trained on it. After seeing it, did it make sense because it'll make a difference in the cost?
I'm sorry to cut you off, but they can give us their opinion on what the testing, but as far as going into detail, it's not an agendized item.
Not until we
because
okay,
we have
fair enough.
it on the agenda.
You can disregard. Thank you.
But I would like to you to answer Mrs. Knorr's question about, because you've had the sample and that's been part of your
We
school
did.
year.
We actually had a lot of teachers in our building pilot the assessment programs as well as the math curriculum that we're looking at. Almost every teacher is piloting something. And when we're talking about resources that we might need, we want to look at this next year. We are making a lot of changes as a district. We are adopting new math curriculum, new phonics curriculum, a new assessment system. A lot of the schools are adopting PBIS as an initiative. So as instructors, a lot of our back to school time is going to be taken up with learning these new systems. So one resource that we actually talked about earlier today was possibly having some summer trainings for those teachers that would volunteer to come in over the summer and do something like that. So as a resource, the more time we have to learn these new systems, I think the better we'll be able to implement them. And I think whatever the district chooses, we'll make work, because that's what we do.
Well, thank you so much, as a proud parent of former Mustangs. Thank you for everything that you do. Our school experience was amazing. It's hard to believe that I don't have one at Pima Butte this year, but thank you so much. And kudos to the kids who got up and spoke. I know that that's not an easy thing, so congratulations and thank you. All right.
Okay, I'd just like to thank all the Pima Butte staff who came this evening, as well as our Pima Butte PTO and also our Pima Butte parents and Pima Butte students. So thank you again for spending the evening with us. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Dr. Chestnut, we've been waiting for this. The cabinet budget recommendations.
Can you guys hear me? Because I'm having a hard time hearing you speak in your mics.
Josh, I think you need to get a little bit closer, because I've been having, my mic's missing the thing again.
I know for my mic, I'd prefer it over on this side, but I can't do it, especially when talking to you, so.
I know it's hard, okay.
Yes.
Thank you, President Gutierrez, members of the board. We've been talking about budget for a while, and we had an excellent recommendation from the Budget Committee at our last meeting, and appreciated Jeff Komarchek leading that committee and did a good job of presenting their priorities that they were recommending to us. So I want to kind of revisit that tonight as well. And mainly, I want to just have a good discussion about these things, so we're going to be informal, so please interrupt or ask questions or chime in, and we can just talk through this. So as you know, we always look at our additional revenue. So it's nice to be able to say that we have some additional revenue coming in next year. The biggest source of that would be from inflation funds. The state does provide that inflation funding as required by law, and we are anticipating approximately $300,000. We've allocated $165 already towards special ed staff. And so there's $300,000 remaining in inflation funding. On top of that, enrollment growth. We are anticipating approximately $240,000 as a result of enrollment growth. Third, we want to earmark $15,000 from Civic Center Fund for a specific project. I'll come back and talk about that, so I have a little asterisk right there to remind me to do that. And then likewise, number 4, $15,000 from our indirect cost fund that we'd like to earmark for a special project. That brings us to a total of $568,000 in new additional revenue for 17-18. So on the right-hand side, we have new expenditures that are recommended from the cabinet. Now, this is our draft list, and it's going to change. As I said, we want to listen and have good discussion tonight, and I would anticipate bringing this back every meeting between now and the time we adopt the budget. And as you recall, we generally end up with options A and B, or maybe even options A, B, and C based on our discussion as we make final decisions. But there are a number of needs that have arisen as we anticipate this next year. And they couldn't all be included in the override proposal, and some of them we need to put on this list. So as cabinet, we're recommending 2 additional middle school custodians. We will have 6th grades back at the, and I don't know why my machine is doing that. I'm not even touching it, so sorry about that. But we will have 6th grade back at the middle schools, and we will still be cleaning approximately the exact same number of classrooms at the elementary schools because of our additional override teachers in our elementary schools. So to keep our buildings looking good, we recommend 2 middle school custodians. Number 2, we would recommend increasing Desert Wind Middle School librarian position, which is currently 29 hours to 40 hours. They will have a large number of additional students next year, and that person actually does double duty in front office and library. Both middle schools staff it that way, and that is the staffing 40 hours that Maricopa Wells has, so we think that would be needed at Desert Wind. Number 3, we are recommending HR benefits specialists. We've talked for the last several years that we're a little lean in the HR department. Benefits is an important area. I think our staff does a good job, but when I first came 5 years ago, Barb Peterzak was full-time as our HR benefits specialist in addition to our current staff. The 4 years ago, she worked for us part-time, and then that benefits, those benefit responsibilities have been picked up by current staff since then. So as we continue to grow, this is an area that we believe we could use an additional staff person, and that would be the cost. Number 4, we would like to increase our special ed ESS clerk from 29 to 40 hours to keep up with paperwork requirements there in that department. Number 5, we would like to increase to a half-time grounds person. That's the asterisk that would come from the Civic Center Fund. That would be earmarked that way. We think this is the most cost-effective way to do it. Be cheaper than contracting it out if we could even find contractors willing to do that work for a school district. We like to keep our weeds in good shape, and we usually do. We had some issues this year. We had some of our grounds crew out on sick leave and that kind of thing, so we did get a little bit behind. Although I have to congratulate Mr. Roush and the crew, the grounds crew. The weeds are getting back into shape, and we appreciate that. We know they've been working hard on that. But this is a position that we would like to add as a half-time $15,000 expenditure. Number 6, we are recommending this expenditure for Maricopa High School trainer. We've been very fortunate for the last several years that RISE Rehabilitation has subsidized greatly the cost of our athletic trainer. We have an excellent trainer. She's at virtually every high school event, practices daily and that kind of thing, does an excellent job. And we've been very fortunate that Rise Rehabilitation covered half of that. In fact, one year I believe they covered it at 100%. But they're not in a position to do that anymore. Our annual expenditure for that has been $17,000. That was our expenditure this year to cover that. To take that position on for us full-time next year would be an additional $33,000. I had the wrong number in the email that I sent to you. That is the correct number, $33,000. I think I put $17,000 in there twice, I think, but that would be the additional expense. And then number 7, the benchmark assessment system is on the agenda tonight. As you know, we've had trouble with Galileo, and we had a lot of technical difficulties with Galileo that were extremely frustrating, as you know. And a few of those, I think, were growing pains with our network, but the vast majority of those problems were with the vendor. And we tried to work it out. I think we made some progress last year, and we did not make good progress with them this year. In fact, it went the opposite direction. So we have a recommendation tonight. I believe that additional $13,000 annual cost would be worth it. That's why it's on the list. And we would recommend earmarking money from the indirect cost fund to cover that $13,000 annual expenditure. That does not include the one-time training expense, but that would be the annual cost increase. Okay, items 8 on are from the Budget Committee, and they're in italics, so we can remember which ones come from the Budget Committee. But the number one priority from the Budget Committee, and these are in priority order from the Budget Committee, was progress on employee pay. The Budget Committee knew that we couldn't do a 3%. They were dreaming a little bit. I think that was the list. On the list was a 3% increase. But we believe we could do a 1.2% salary increase for our employees. That would cost us $336,000. Number 9, curriculum support for K-12. That was on the list from the Budget Committee, but that was to make the point that we need to continue to invest in curriculum. And I think we have an excellent answer for that this year, I should say for next year, as we purchase the math curriculum, which will probably cost us close to $1 million. We've already talked about the fact that a year from now we'd like to be approving English language arts curriculum K-12 that would probably cost a similar amount of money. So I think we have a good plan in place. I appreciate the reminder from the Budget Committee, but I do not think we need to allocate any additional funds for curriculum support. I do want to point out, though, that we do spend $10, $20, $30, $40,000 a year out of the curriculum budget or one of our funds, one-time funds, to replace books that need replacing and that kind of thing. We don't neglect that, but the Budget Committee was focused on curriculum adoptions, and I think we're making good progress there. Number 9, interactive whiteboards, wonderful idea. We have between 10 and 20 around the district. We have maybe 6 or 10 of the true interactive, full-fledged interactive whiteboards. We have 10 or 12 of the Mimios. We're making good, the teachers that use those love them. And I do think this will end up as part of our expenditure package from override funds. We have $500,000 a year for the next 5 years, and then a reduced amount in year 6 and 7. But we will be spending a good sum on instructional technology for students, and I do believe that we will get into this maybe as early as the 18-19 school year. We haven't worked on that purchase plan yet, but that's one of our to-dos once the school year gets started, and I do think this will end up on the list. So at this time, we would not recommend that expenditure. Number 11, the recommendation was made for 12-month calendar for elementary secretaries, and there is some need there. We have covered that for a number of years with subs. Or authorizing overtime. Mostly authorizing overtime on a few occasions, some sub support. We think that works. Not every school needs that 12-month elementary secretary. Some do, and we think we've got that covered in that way. Number 12, communication specialist. Now this is an interesting one, and as you know, it was rated 3rd or 4th by the committee overall, but it was tied for last when you look at the ranking from staff members on the committee. We're only half of the committee, I acknowledge that, but we believe that we couldn't have passed the override if we weren't doing a good job of getting the word out about what we're doing as a school district. And there's always room for improvement on this, but we believe that we can continue with that. I think we can make some other improvements that are maybe part of this person, like website improvements with current staff, but that's our recommendation. 13, mentoring. As you know, our mentoring grant was just renewed, so we are excited to be able to continue with our mentoring program, and so we think that the grant funds will cover that, which is an important project for us. We think it's helped our teachers, but we think we can cover it with grant funds. 14, Maricopa High School Library Assistant, not recommending that at this time. Number 15, curriculum mapping for secondary B teachers. In other words, B teachers are teachers that don't have a state test like math or English or science. This is a project that we do each year that needs to continue to get done, but Mr. Watson believes we can get this work done with current budget. Number 16, the proposal was made for an elementary substitute at each elementary school. As you know, 2 years ago, we started hiring permanent substitutes. We have 7 of them, and that's worked really well. So I think that budget recommendation from the Budget Committee was similar to that. We would prefer to go with a subcontract, and the cost of that contract would be $35,000. If this is something the board is interested in, we'll have to bring this back as a future agenda item and talk about it, but it would allow those substitutes to work for the contractor and not for us, which means that they could sub 5 days per week instead of 3 days per week. That would be the biggest advantage, and they would also help with some of the paperwork requirements. 7, yes.
So with that contract, would the subs get insurance since they will be working for this other company?
Thanks for that reminder.
We don't do benefits for our subs except for the 7 full-time ones that we
Correct.
hired?
That's correct. Is that the right answer? Yes. So we would continue with our 7 full-time permanent subs. They would be our frontline subs, in other words.
And we provide benefits for them?
We provide benefits for them. They would have nothing to do with the subcontract, but the remaining subs would then be employees of the subcontractor and not of us as part-time subs.
Okay.
So how many is that?
It's, there's no number.
They're not adding any additional subs, correct? 'Cause I think that one of the proposals, the Budget Committee, was there was 2 elementary schools that did not have a sub assigned to them, correct? But but what you're proposing is not to hire 2 more permanent subs just to go to a subcontract, correct?
Correct.
So then we could use 10, or 1 week we only use 5. It's just, it would be like our, what's the retirement plan we use? Sorry, Smart Schools or whatever it is.
Smart
It would be
Schools.
like that, where we would contract for this company to do it.
Item on the list?
No, but I'm
No.
getting close.
All right, let's get through all the way through the list.
But this is an important issue, and we use a lot of subs, and so I think it'd be important, if you wouldn't mind, if Mr. Becker could just give us a little snapshot of how many subs we use in a day and a week and that kind of thing. And
Thank you, President Coutray, members of the board. We have about 100 substitutes with different varying lengths of participation in the program throughout the course of the year, but any given day we could be looking anywhere from 30 to 50 substitutes, and high need days 60 substitutes, at least needs, and so it would allow us the opportunity to at least have a bigger pool to be able to draw from if we would consider moving to this particular outside contracting of the substitutes. Again, and you're correct, if benefits were earned through their hourly totals, that company would provide all of that.
Okay.
They also would provide training and everything. They will offer a different tier of substitute service for us than what we're doing now.
one of our realities is that even though our 7 permanent subs are a great improvement, we're not getting all of our sub needs met every day. We're having some classes that go uncovered, and then teachers have to double up or use their prep time to cover it and that kind of thing. So we think this would make a larger pool of subs available. Moving on, 17, TOSAs. We are recommending that the middle school TOSAs be upgraded to assistant principals. This was a change that was made 5 years ago, right before I arrived, as a result of state budget cuts. We think that it's important to restore those positions to the assistant principal level. Ideally, I think we would do that for our elementary TOSAs as well. However, in our judgment, we can't afford it at this time, but that would be our recommendation. Number 18, there was a recommendation to turn part-time parapros to full-time, and our parapros are 100% in special education, and so we do this on occasion depending on IEP needs, and so we continue to consider those positions one at a time as the need arose. And number 19, buyback of unused sick leave. We just feel like we're not ready to do that at this time, and that would be the total of $568,000, so I'll be glad to discuss this further with you.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, President Coutray. But I know we've got it on our agenda to do a separate budget meeting, which I would fully support. I do have some questions for Dr. Chestnut that I would like, I don't know if you want them now, that I would like when we have that budget meeting. Because I know since we're going to do a separate meeting, we've got a lot more to cover on this agenda, but do you want those questions now, or do you want me to just email them to you?
However the board prefers to do it.
This is, with the additional things that we have on the agenda this evening, this is a much longer conversation that we're going to be able to get through tonight.
We're definitely going to have another meeting, but I think Mrs. Anderson's point was, what do we want to ask Dr. Chestnut?
You want to hear the questions all the board, so do we all have questions? Okay.
I think we should pose our questions now,
Yes.
have them answered, but pose them.
So that you've got time.
We all send the same questions in
Right.
separate emails, and that's just redundant.
I like that idea too. I'll make it quick.
I would like more
Okay.
information on this.
Okay. So I would like information on what our civic fund amount is and what we earn each year. And I would like to know why we can't do our custodians out of that. And then my other question is, on the TOSA, number 17, if we can please look at whether or not certain numbers at our elementary schools need assistant principals. And then if you could provide a list of what B teachers are, which is, you've got number 15, just give us a list of what those B teachers are. And then if you could also, I would also like to know what it would cost if we did just a part-time, even IT media specialist, what that would look like. Whatever you want to call it. For me, I'm seeing more IT, more social, but
We have the IT people built into the override funds. So, because those are
Right.
going to be the specialists. This was proposed, this position was proposed to help with communicating,
right,
improving
well,
our,
I'm thinking,
you know.
can you just find out if they need another part-time person that can handle that, as well as the people that we're hiring through the override?
Yes, but just to clarify, the override included one tech person for the tech department.
Right.
Strictly
And that
hardware,
was it.
network, that kind of thing. And then 2 instructional integration specialists who would be certified teachers, right, to help teachers with making good use of the curriculum. But I still think it's a good point, and I'll be glad to bring that back.
Okay, and then, I think that was it.
Okay, Mrs. Knorr?
My only comment is that on both the budget committee and then the certified committee that Dr. Chestnut holds, and then also the meet confer committee, the number one priority was employee raises.
Yes.
And I just would like to see more progress towards that. I think that's important. I think with Prop 123 and everything that's been going on, I think that we need to show our teachers that they're valued with the fact that we've hired, thankfully, so many, but that we still have so many to hire. And we, of course, want to retain our current ones. That's an important piece of the puzzle. I just think that I would like to see where we can make more progress toward increasing employee pay, and especially in light of another agenda item we're having later on.
I would be interested to know the $336,000 for the progress on employee pay. What does that actually accumulate to across the board for the teachers? Like, how much would that be?
It's 1.2%.
Is it one? It's a percent,
On the base
1.2%.
salary for every employee, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then for the TOSAs, for the 20,000, is that for one or two?
Two.
Okay. And then my other question was regarding the high school trainer. I don't quite understood what exactly everything you were saying. I understand that we have a trainer and that was part of that was actually paid for through another organization, but we had a matching fund. So am I understanding correctly now that revenue source is not there, and then so we would need to cover the entire cost?
Yes.
And does that include benefits as well?
Yes.
And then also for the librarian, I'd imagine then that would include benefits as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Dr. Chestnut, I'm an athletic trainer. That 33 is additional to the 17 that we're already expending out, correct?
Correct.
So, and I think, you know, I've been out on the field. It's valuable. You have to have an athletic trainer for all the events that are going on, and the one that we currently have is amazing, and she is everywhere with her crew. I mean, it's not just her. You keep in mind, she's also teaching the other students on how to assess and, you know, wrap and do everything for injuries. So she's actually teaching them while she's out there.
People that want to be a trainer in
Yeah.
college.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Judd.
First, want to second Ms. Nor's comments in terms of in continuing to improve employee pay. You also have to factor in increasing healthcare costs. When we start talking about increase in pay, how much of that, in the small amount that Governor Ducey has mentioned in terms of doing statewide, how much of that is going to be eaten up by the increase in healthcare costs that we're going to be discussing later as well. So I second that that comment. I also, and just because it was mine, the interactive whiteboard technology, understand why it's getting kicked to the technology discussion, and that's obviously where it should have started to begin with. The way that Jeff had set up the budget committee, technology was a category that was an option. So I assumed that at that point we could include technology parts to that discussion. But before I give up on that, I want to point out the importance to it because it's a direct connection with the curriculum that we just spent $1 million to get. And before we put a big donut on that, I want to see the coverage that the elementary schools that are going to be adopting the curriculum, how many of them have access to that technology on a daily basis. Because otherwise, we're throwing away money on the curriculum. They're not going to be able to use a big portion of the curriculum that's included that makes the curriculum unique. And Mr. Watson can probably speak to that aspect of the curriculum better than I can. But to my knowledge, like Go Math, a big portion of the reason the success of that curriculum is because it's interactive. It's what gets the kids up out of their seats, up to the board, and involved in being a part of that curriculum. So to have the curriculum and not to have the interactive whiteboard technology, to me, is you're throwing away money on new curriculum that you're not getting the most out of. So I just wanted to speak my piece on that. So if I could, to get numbers in terms of what kind of access do the elementary school, each elementary school teacher, do they have access to whiteboards in their classrooms? And that's all.
So when we get together and have this work study session, if you could give us the numbers on, you gave us the 1.2%, I'd like to see a 1.5% and then a 1.8 and a 2 point.
Is that part of the 825?
I want to see what it would cost to increase the salary on those different points.
For 1%.
So,
But we can put that
I
on.
just want to see that in those
Yeah, yeah.
intervals, because I want to see how we could possibly continue to increase that. I like Mrs. Anderson's idea about the communication specialist, even at part-time. I think we need to start. I agree that the override did an awesome job getting it out there, but it wasn't all MHS. It was volunteers who knew that this was going to be a short-lived venture, so they knew that it wasn't going to be ongoing every day for years and years and years, and we need somebody that's going to be doing this every day to continue to promote our schools, and also just to even promote what's going on within the school so that each school site knows what's going on. Our websites are atrocious. It's hard to follow. We have an app that sometimes doesn't get updated, and we're going into the age of technology. Parents are going to be looking at that stuff. When they're looking for schools, they're going to go to the web first, and they're going to pull up the school. So we need to make sure that we're competitive with that, especially now. So I'd like to see that. And then also, you know, we did receive emails regarding after-school transportation at the high school. And so I would like to see what the costs for that would be at our budget committee, because I want to see, is that something that can fit into the current budget that we have? Is it something that we need to address as additional funds? I know that, you know, the more students we're getting, you know, we have lots of activities, lots of clubs, but those underclassmen, and I can speak for this because I am my child's personal Uber, going to and from schools and picking them up and taking them here and going there, it gets to be much. And if you're a working parent like myself, a single working parent who works till 5 o'clock, school gets out at 2:30, they're practicing, they're done by 4:30, okay, what are they going to do? They have to sit around and wait. And you don't want kids sitting around with nothing to do, because then they tend to find something to do that maybe not be as productive as we'd like.
But the
So-
item was secondary activity bus? Is that what it
Yeah,
was?
I mean, I know that the other school, the few of the elementary schools and the middle schools, they had the 21st Century Grant, and that paid for that, although that's now over with, but it paid for it during most of the year. So it's just the spring sports. But I think for the high school especially, because they are getting more kids involved in the activities and the clubs, that they should have a way to be able to, you know, and I know that it wasn't just budgetary that we stopped it. It was because kids were using it as, you know, they'd hang out at school, hang with their friends, maybe get in a little bit of trouble, and then just use the bus to go home. So there's got to be a way of working that out where it can be, you know, a positive thing and not something that we have to worry about security-wise. But I would like those figures brought when we have our work study session. That's it. You know I'm going to fight for my communication specialist to.
I would just like to make one more point out. In light of the paraprofessionals, remind me, where was that ranked during the budget committee? Because I thought that was, in terms of the need, I thought that was ranked kind of high.
Those items are ranked in order that they were ranked by the budget committee. So that was the second to the last one, second to the highest.
Yeah, and the way that, and I can speak to this because I presented this one, it wasn't just necessarily all to be used for the ESS, the special needs paras. The hope is that if we made them full-time, you know, you'd have the part-time that would be with whatever the ESS needs were, but then the other one would be like, almost like a general para that would help out with the general population, you know, to help with the teachers that had larger classes, or, you know, maybe had a sub, get some extra people in there.
Well,
I think what you're thinking, I'm sorry to interrupt, I think what you're thinking though is it was higher up on the list of meet and confer.
Okay, is that what it was?
That's
All
the
right.
list that was high up on, yeah. Not on the budget committee. I couldn't get it past the budget.
So is there any way that we can, I don't know, evaluate the need throughout the district for more paras? I don't know exactly if that's something that we're doing ongoing. Because I know whenever I do my visits at the schools, I know that's one of the things that's brought up is a need, is paraprofessionals. So I'm just wondering, is there any type of way to, you know, evaluate each school and what the need is and what the growth and with our growth across the district, well, what is the need?
Well, that's an interesting question. So the only para-pros that we have right now are in special education, and it's all assigned as based on IEP needs. So it's a staffing requirement that we don't have any choice on, really. You know, the point is that we could use para support in general education. And I guess the philosophy of this board for the last several years has been, if we are hiring additional staff, we've hired additional certified staff. Now, maybe that priority will change. But, you know, we didn't include the hiring of additional parapros in the override, for example. It was all certified staff. So, I mean, I guess that's just the way we've answered the question in recent years. I mean, there are some wealthy districts that have a parapro in every elementary classroom in other states. I don't know of too many in this state that do that, but so the answer is somewhere in between there.
That if it's outside of ESS, we can use Title I funds to fund some of those positions in Gen Ed, and I don't think that should be outside of the scope of what we're looking at.
And the other thing, the other reason that I had made this proposal was because our turnover on paras is just ridiculous. And I think a lot of our paras would stick around and stay if they had the benefits, if they had that full-time employment with the benefits, because that's why they're leaving. They have to provide for their families, and sometimes they need to have those benefits and the full-time position. So that was the other reason of bringing this.
Okay, so then one thing, it'd be important to differentiate them. The paras are for ESS versus general ed, which we use certified professionals for that.
Currently, that's
Now-
our current model, yes.
Teachers. So now, is paraprofessionals and BHTs, is that the same thing? Because I've seen sometimes that cross language in some of the documentation.
Those are just for the ESS needs.
Right, but the BHT and paraprofessional, that's the same.
Behavior tech,
Right.
same.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Well, and just, because I like to, so this list, it would be really nice to have, although, we all wrote it down, some took pictures, but it would be really nice to have, as well as just the other document, just if Lisa could print it out, the meet and confer recommendations, and also the budget committee, just so we had the papers with us when we're working, so we can have all three recommendations.
Sure.
And I'd like the minutes from from the certified staff meeting too.
Sure.
Okay. All right, we're off to a great start. All right, now, next thing is not so exciting. ASBA, oh, sorry, Mrs. Anderson. ASBA 2018 political agenda. She forgot she's on the legislative committee. So included in the packet was ASBA sent us, the 2017 political agenda, and they would like us to, look through it, list our top 5 priorities, and then if we had any other additional agenda items that we'd like them to consider. But they also want to know, in addition to our top 5, our rationale behind choosing it. So I don't want to get into a lot of discussion tonight, but I did want to just address this so that you guys would go back, pull up the information, read it, because it is going to be an action item on the next agenda, so that we can get this done and get this submitted in a timely manner, because the items are due on May 12th.
So we need to do it the next meeting.
We'll do it at the next meeting, but I just wanted to address it so that if there was any questions about what what ASBA is asking us to do, that.
I have my 5.
Can I just put a little note in there to go off what Mrs. Moore and I have, and several, less is better.
Yes.
And I think what I would like to see personally is we pick one as a board and list it 5 times. The reason I say that is because after serving on the committee for however 8 years or whatever it is, 6 years, because we're not a major district in Maricopa County, our voice does not get heard. So I think that we need to be extremely specific on
Good
what we're
strategy
requesting.
closes lots of doors.
Yeah.
Yes, and so out of frustration, I just want to make sure our voice is heard, because over the years, we've been squelched to the bottom. So I think that I would like to see us look at one thing that's really going to take care of the majority of the list, because we're not just talking about just our district. We need to address it as a state level. So I don't know if that makes any sense, but questions, you can send them to Steve and he'll answer you. But that's just my 2 cents. Less is more.
Your take in terms of putting, like, number 1 is this enormous catch-all where it
Yeah,
says.
it's ridiculous.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous.
There's 30
Too long.
things listed there, so it's like,
Yeah.
what do you pick there?
And
Do
it
we
didn't
pick
do
a
us any
1A,
good
1B?
during the ESA conversation
I
anyway.
noticed that right off the bat.
Yeah.
It's just so broad.
There's
Where
too
do you
much.
go with that? So I think in addition to maybe listing one thing 5 times, that we also not pick something that's so insanely broad.
Right.
That
Yeah.
we get nowhere with it.
Right.
So maybe something that's more specific off of that.
You know, and
list.
you could take one of these, or we could take one of these and fill it out, or we could develop our own.
Because we're so smart, I think we could do one that covers all 100 things on that list.
How about
I mean,
accountability
we've
for
got,
public
you know,
funds?
we've got Mrs. Knorr here that's going to help us craft the bill, so.
All right,
Anyway,
so
that's all I'm going to say.
everyone's got a little bit of homework. Okay? Next meeting. All
Cool.
right, review of the monthly financial report for February, Mr. Roush.
Dr. Chestnut, I'd like to bring to you the February monthly financial report. And as you can see, we're featuring the ROTC. Very cool with their visit. And if you've had a chance to read the 2-page memo and the documents to follow, I'd be happy to entertain any questions that you have.
Mr. Roush, we discussed, and I don't want to go too much into depth, but I just wanted to know if there was any more research done on it. I was looking at the operation budget for the sites and how much that takes up on the budget. I want to believe it was in the area of 2.2 million or 2.5 million, but just operational costs for all of the sites. It wasn't broken out individually, but I was specifically interested about, I know we had discussed earlier about solar at some point, looking at that kind of investment and the kind of savings that we would get there. Have you gotten any more information on that?
Well, if you're talking about our electrical
Specifically that, because I
operation
didn't see it
costs,
broken
are,
out.
yeah, over $2.4 million of just the electrical, but overall operations are quite a bit higher than that. But specifically, you're wanting to know our electrical expenditures.
Have
About
you done any more work on seeing what might be a cost savings there to potentially looking at that?
Well, going into that, and we've done a lot of research. I personally have done research for over 20 years on this when the first ESCOs came out with Honeywell. So I've been involved in that research. And for instance, right now, the biggest bang for the buck is lighting upgrades. And just recently, LEDs are the biggest, again, bang for the buck. We have been doing LEDs. We can approximately save over 90% of the electrical cost with installation of one electrical light bulb. Save 90% a year.
What's holding us back?
Also, what that does is it cuts down your heating costs because LEDs burn pretty light. So, if you will, we've done a lot of upgrades to the exterior lighting. We've done that not using a third party. We're one of the few districts that have went out on our own to go ahead and do that. So slowly we're upgrading our lighting, and we are using some of our reserve funds to do that. The next, it probably would cost us approximately to go out to do a third party over $2 million to upgrade all of our lighting, but we have a potential plan to do it in-house and just pay for the product itself and use some of our own staff. We think we could save minimum over $500,000 a year doing that.
Okay. I was
that's
just
the
curious
next.
if you were still looking at those options.
If we want to talk about it, that's the next phase of it. And once you do that, then the phase after that we need to look to is web-based controls. So we're controlling our heat and our heating and our cooling exterior with technology that interacts. So there is a certain amount of savings that will go into that, and that would be another 10 to 20% at the very least. The very last thing that we want to look at is then solar energy, because a lot of school districts have went out and done solar and then have come back to say they haven't saved any money. In fact, it's cost them money, and there's been audit findings on that. So they've went with ESCOs. So you have to right size the solar energy. And so first of all, you have to get all the other energy enhancements upgraded, and then you get to a right sizing of solar energy. Because even in this, in our environment here, we have ED3. So ED3 does not buy back any solar energy. So if we were to have a solar system that's too big, then we're actually going to cost us some expenses. So
They did it, it was, I believe, 2010, when they started converting theirs over. But there's been a significant reduction in the cost for the manufacturing of solar panels. So I just wanted to make sure we haven't given up the ghost on that, and that there was some research still, that was still an option that we were looking at.
well, if you don't right size the solar energy, it could end up costing you more.
Yeah.
The only way we're going to save money with solar is if we go off the grid.
Yep. But it's an evolving technology, and it's something I don't want us to give up on, because people are, I've heard a report, I believe it was last month, there was a coal company, their headquarters had actually converted over to solar, and still said that coal was king, but we're going to convert over our headquarters to solar.
Again,
so I just want to make sure we haven't given up
I think you
looking
have to
at that.
right size it.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate the information.
Sure.
Are there any other questions?
One quick question. Do you have any idea approximately what percentage of our lighting is LED, is converted over to LED now?
I'd have to get that. We're working with a vendor right now to see what the product cost would be for all other rooms, and so I could get that information for you. But we've done all the exterior lighting in the parking lots, and we've done exterior lighting recently at the high school, if you've been over there, and they burn a lot brighter. We've done some of the NPR rooms, so we're going to go ahead with that. It makes sense for us to do as much of, and we've done, our actual crew has done classrooms, and so so we know what works. We know the product, the dimmers, and everything else, and it makes, again, more sense for us to do it ourselves rather than pay exorbitant amount to vendors. So, but I can get you that amount that we're at, and so.
Thank you.
Sure.
The projected budget, are we currently using any of the Civic Center fund to pay for direct M&O for staff? So for any of our maintenance or any of our custodians?
Yeah, this year we will be journal entering approximately over $100,000 of expenditures into the civic fund.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rush.
Sure. Any other questions?
No, for me. Nice picture, though. All right. Consent
Agenda. Now, remember that we did pull item 6H.
Motion to approve with H taken out.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. 7A, discussion and possible approval of the personnel schedule. Mr. Beckett?
Thank you, President Coutre and members of the board. You have the schedule in front of you tonight. I will take your questions at this point.
I have a question.
Yes.
When were contracts due? Or are they still out?
No, teachers' contracts
Yes.
have been returned.
They've
Yes.
all been returned?
They were due. We're still working through the list. We have a few outstanding contracts that we're working on with some people, yes.
Okay, when do you anticipate we'll have the list of the folks who didn't
On 26th.
submit?
The 26th, our next board meeting.
On next board
Right.
meeting? Okay,
Yes.
great.
I have a question. Mr. Beckett,
Yes.
number 37.
Yes.
Is there a cost savings because this person is changing positions and going to a lesser position?
Thank you, Member Anderson. No, there is no cost saving being projected on this particular position.
And that's because, I asked that same question, Mrs. Anderson, because when that position was, went from the TOSA to the AP, there was no increase in salary at that point either. In fact, because of the new status at that point, they actually lost out on having the 301 performance pay because they didn't qualify for it now. So going back, it was a wash then, it'll be a wash now.
But is there a saving in benefits, since we don't have to pay the vacation days? There's nothing? It's exactly the same?
There will be no change in salary or benefits.
Okay. No, that concerns me that she's got less of a title, but
And technically speaking, an administrator's contract is 12 months, but they also qualify for 24 vacation days. Going to an 11-month contract really just allows them to have those vacation days taken during actual breaks that are already established in our contract or in our school year calendar. So the administrative contract would have allowed more flexibility for vacation days, whereas for an 11-month contract, they're scripted, very, very definitive days that they will not be working. And it ends up being all the major breaks plus 2 weeks in the summer.
okay. I'm just saying, I'm still not comfortable
Any other questions?
with the pay situation with that.
Any motions?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Discussion and possible approval of the early graduation for high school student. Thank you so much for sticking around. Dr. Chestnut?
We're very proud to present a student for early graduation, and I know Rebecca Collins, high school counselor, is here and is going to speak to that issue.
Coutray, Dr. Chestnut, and members of the board. I'm here tonight on behalf of Diamond Sims. Excuse me. Diamond is one of my students at Maricopa High School, and she is currently in 11th grade. Diamond approached her guidance counselor freshman year and wanted to graduate early and had those goals set back then. I have known Diamond since the start of this year and have been very impressed with her determination, eagerness, and positive attitude. She has had weekly contact with me via emails and phone calls and face-to-face. Diamond has completed every course of study necessary to graduate early. She has taken above and beyond the courses that are required for graduation. Diamond works as well and attends very demanding and challenging classes at Maricopa High School. In my professional opinion, Diamond is ready to start the next chapter of her education, and I highly recommend that Diamond be granted the opportunity to graduate this May.
So, Becky, would she walk then with the seniors then at graduation?
Yes, if she so chooses to.
Any questions?
No.
Congratulations. Awesome work.
Can't congratulate
I don't
her
want
yet.
to,
We
yes,
have-
I'm sorry, that was
We need a
preemptive.
motion.
Hold on, in
Yes,
5 minutes, I'll say that again to you.
Motion to
I
approve.
would like to motion.
Okay, so
Okay.
I got one motion. You got a second?
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Ms. Sims. I know it's a happy mom, too. It's like, woo.
And next time, we will move this up on the agenda.
Okay, discussion and possible approval of the 2000, our work study session to go over the
Awarded.
budget. Right? Yeah, okay. So everybody get your calendars out. Start throwing out some dates, people.
Well, I would like to see us do it sooner so that by the next board meeting, we can actually do approval. So that would be my hope.
Thursdays are no good.
Are no good or are good?
No good. That's the only day that I
So,
can.
are we looking at the day or the evening time? Because if it's evening, the only day I can will be Tuesdays or Wednesdays.
Well, you can't do during the day.
No.
You're Patty, so it'd have to be in the evening.
So for me, it'd be best for me for Tuesday, so I can have childcare.
What about Tuesday the 18th?
That will work.
What
Personal.
about Wednesday the 19th?
I'm Ubering.
Wednesday in between works best for me.
Wednesdays?
Yes.
Yeah, Wednesdays, I
What
can,
about Wednesday the 19th?
I can make
I'm good.
Wednesday work. You can make it work? So Wednesday, the 19th at,
Dr.
I
Miller's
will
still
not be
checking.
Oh,
able,
you can't-
I
oh, you
cannot
can't
make
do
do the 19th.
and then our next meeting's the 26th.
What about Tuesday the 25th?
If we make it just like, maybe can we do 6 o'clock? Because I just can't, I have after school that I have to stay for, so that prevents me. 6 o'clock would
Or we
work.
could keep it at 6:30
That's fine, 6:30 will work.
or 7, whatever, I mean,
Guys, Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Not for you.
okay, what about Monday, the 17th?
Again, Monday, same deal, as long as we keep the same time.
Monday I
that's
can
okay.
do.
I mean, we could do 7, I mean, what it doesn't, I mean,
Yeah, we can do whatever time.
whatever time.
Gary, how does that work for you? Does
Not in the
17th?
evening. There's no way I can. The day I can schedule in this much advance during the day, but then that would exclude, that would exclude you. So
No, I think actually me and Patty both work during the day,
Yeah.
so I think you'd be the only one not being able to attend at nighttime.
Gary, are there any nights that work?
Before the
Besides-
26th.
No, I don't think we're looking at.
again, Tuesday and Wednesday is really because I got a lot of other
The nights you can do it.
providers come in. Yeah, Tuesday and Wednesday I can.
So what about the 18th? Oh, what did you say?
I'm
She's not able to.
Tuesdays and Thursdays. I Uber.
And we can't do the 19th?
Gary couldn't do the 19th.
I thought you
I
said
could-
Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
No, I could do the 19th. I had no problem with that 19th.
Then let's
Yeah.
do the 19th.
19th at what time?
Do we want to do 6:30 or 7?
7 o'clock, I think, is on the safe side. Maybe we can fit dinner in between there, and I'm good,
Oh.
I'm good with either.
I can't do it that night. My wife's leaving out of town.
Can you come at 7? Not at all? Can you come
Why
at 6?
don't we just go ahead and schedule that? And I will do my very best to get the best babysitter in the world that comes and babysits, who's actually at home right now doing that.
Okay.
So let me try that.
Do you want to make it earlier because you'll have a babysitter? Do you want to do like a 6:30?
What time works better for that?
We'll get dinner, I promise.
I mean, really, 6:30 would be fine.
6:30?
6:30 would be
Do
fine.
you want to
I
do
mean,
6
same
o'clock?
time.
I mean,
Let's just do 6:30.
6:30, keep it same time, keep
okay.
it simple, stupid.
6:30. Okay. So I would like to motion that we set a work-study session for Wednesday, April 19th at 6:30 PM.
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And that's just for budget?
Just
for budget.
That's,
It's a
Perfect.
one
Works.
agenda item.
okay.
Okay. Next one, discussion and possible approval of the 2017-18 Governing Board meeting schedule, which was attached. Any feedback?
I thought it looked good. Are we okay with just doing one meeting for the summer months?
We've done it before.
I know we have. I'm just saying, how did it work? I guess that's
I
my
mean,
question.
if we have to schedule one, the one that we did schedule for July of 2018 was right before the budget has to be passed. So so we're giving ourselves plenty of time. And, with, now going into the following year, it's going to be a little interesting, but this year, I think, but this thing, I mean, and we had to move some of the dates because of breaks, conferences.
I love it.
Um,
Perfect.
But we went through and we tried to look at it. And guys, and this isn't written in stone, if we have
Right.
to change it, we can change it. But for now, if,
I think it looks fine. My only concern would be September, because I know that's a busy month for the district.
yeah, but they moved,
So-
and they moved the county meeting to.
Well, they're probably
September
going to move it
27th.
again. Who knows what they're going to do. But do we want to meet on a Tuesday? I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, that's right.
We can think about it now, but I just think September,
And we may
We
have
might
to have a
wanna-
special meeting in September. And we'll look at it, in August, where we can look to see what we've got coming down the pike, and maybe
Yeah.
we look at it and we go, we really do need two meetings in September, and we'll schedule another one.
okay.
Yeah. I agree.
Okay, I'm good with the way it is. I'd like to make a motion to approve.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second?
A motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Fantastic. Okay, discussion and possible approval of the purchase of the new data and assessment platform, School City. Dr. Chestnut, is this you?
Well, it's not really me.
It's
Wade
Wade.
Watson
Wade.
knows a lot about this, so I'm sure he'd be glad to answer any questions you might have.
As you know, we were asked to look at assessment systems with the possibility of replacing ATI Galileo because we did have a number of issues with them, specifically the server crashing frequently in the midst of testing, which is a minor concern, right? The Director of Assessment, Dennis, and myself interviewed about 10 companies to kind of see what their products look like, with the goal of making sure we didn't really lose anything we currently have. We found 2 that would give us what we had, and then maybe a little bit more. With that in mind, then, we were given a green light to pilot those. We had 60 teachers in the district piloting the different assessment systems. They were surveyed and gave us data and feedback and input all along, and they were really good about using it, and also very excited, I might add, because they too were very frustrated with the current assessment system. In the end, the assessment system that they were most pleased with was School City. I will tell you that the other one they were also happier to have than the current one, but School City was the winner of the 2.
Or are continuing to pay for Study Island?
We do currently have Study Island. We only have that for grades 6, 7, and 8. It was something we purchased this year as a math intervention tool.
Okay. It does have the capability, I don't know if you guys looked at this aspect of it at all, and I'm just thinking it because we're already paying for it. It does have the ability to do benchmark testing.
It does. It is an add-on. We do subscribe to other Edmentum products as well, which it's all owned by Edmentum, Plato, Study Island.
Okay.
And that was something that we could purchase in terms of benchmark items.
Was it one of the 10 that you looked at?
It was something that we did look at, but again, to house our curriculum, to do our assessments in, to have teacher capability to build assessments, and mine that data out in the number of ways that we wanted to.
It's something that popped up, so I knew that we already have it. So,
right.
And it's something that teachers may be familiar with, and it may be another way of being able to avoid the cost of having to train them on it. But I just wanted to throw it out there.
Right.
This is the one that they. Okay. Okay,
Do I have
motion to
motions?
approve as School City as the new data and assessment platform.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Discussion and possible approval of the district benefit plan for the school year 2017-18. Mr. Beckett? This is not a happy one.
Thank you, President Coutray, members of the governing board. You have the agenda item in front of you tonight. I'd like to just speak through a quick summary statement that I have kind of on the process that we went through this year on doing this. I know there will be some concerns, I think, about just the effect budgetarily and the increase that we're looking at, but I did want to explain to you that I'm not sure the situation we're dealing with here is any different than any other organization probably in the entire United States, and we're obviously challenged by the same constraints that most everybody else are. Back in early 2016, we received news that we were receiving a double-digit increase on our insurance benefits from ASBATE. At that point in time, we went out to bid hastily, and during March and April, we actually decided to move to Valley Schools Employee Benefit Trust at that point in time, put together plans, got them together, and still was able to get our open enrollment done in early May. It was a very quick process. Really appreciate Valley's work on that. They did a terrific job in doing that. But we did move from ASBATE to United Healthcare. It's been a transition process. I'm not going to say it hasn't been. There have been some challenges, but there also, I think, there have been some good things that come as a result of that. About 6 months of data was put together back in January. We had that information and started our renewal meetings. So didn't really have an awful lot of data to go from, but we, again, took what we had, moved forward with that. The actuarial services called the Hayes Company actually came in and did some presentations to district personnel. We've met twice with them consecutively. The first time was on January 20th, and then we met them on February 17th and March 1st. On March 8th, we actually had a Hayes representative come here to the district office, present in front of employees, present the 4 options that we were looking at. after that meeting, but we had about 30, 40 employees attend. I also sent that PowerPoint presentation out to all of our employees, asked for feedback on that. Personally, we did not get much feedback on the information, so we went ahead and convened a benefits committee meeting on March 24th. We went together and discussed the different options, and the option that we're looking at tonight is the one that was recommended. Just wanted to highlight the members of the team real quick. Mr. Roush and I obviously were on the benefits team, but Diane Streetsbeck, Elizabeth Serba, Marilyn Wyatt, Lisa Laura, Pam Brown, Maureen Begay, Sarah Aguilar were also involved in that benefits committee. The plan that you're looking at tonight did a couple different things. The first thing that we started streamlining on is we went to a narrow pharmacy network. One of the things that plans are starting to look at are limiting the number of pharmacies within the plan that you can get your drugs from. We get a better price as a result of that. The plan that we went with obviously has probably a better impact on Maricopa than maybe a different one would. Walmart, Walgreens, and Fry's are the primary pharmacies that are involved in that narrow network, and again, cost benefits to us. Since we did a big major transition last year, the thought was let's try to keep as much the same as we can this year. But again, with keeping those plans, there was some richness, especially in our top tier PPO plan, that we had to deal with. And the really only option was that we decided to incentivize our lower tier PPO plan as well as our high deductible health plan as well. So both of those plans we've looked at, tried to give a little bit more money from a district perspective, tried to not necessarily force, but encourage people to consider moving from that top tier plan down to one of those other plans. They're a little bit more consumer driven. They're able to make more decisions directly involved in their own particular health care. The services are being provided. We think this is a positive step. We think this is a natural step. We think this is a step that every organization is making out there to move away from those super rich PPO plans. It's not feasible to be able to support those any longer. So that's my short summary. I'll take your questions.
Well, just a comment. I mean, I have to pay for insurance, and mine's just comparable to what our district is paying. So I know it stinks to have to pay this much money, but we are not alone in this. So, Mr. Beckett, the three plans that they have, the first one, the Choice Plus 2, and then the Choice Plus. What is the HDHP? Is that limiting them to the doctors and the services, or is that the one with the highest deductible?
And member, Ms. Lindy, President Gutray, I am starting to learn more every year about these plans. But yes, the high deductible plan obviously is a much more consumer-driven plan. We actually have a health savings account that people pay in so that their co-pays, their expenditures actually come out of that fund. So it becomes almost like their personal debit account where they get to spend the money. And again, it makes them more selective in what they're going to do. You know, do I go to the emergency room, or do I stick around and make an appointment with my primary care physician, which would save me a significant amount of money? Or whether am I going to get that MRI at the hospital, or am I going to go to an imaging center, which would be significantly different. So there's some real benefits to having people getting more control of that process, and the high deductible plan puts that in kind of the consumer's hands. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. My company that I work for, we went through this whole exercise in July because that's our fiscal year, and they did the same thing where they're trying to push people out of the PPO, which does make sense for some people, and so I hope that we can explain that to our teachers and to our staff, and explain to them the benefits and how to manage in that type of a plan, because some people are overinsured, especially in the health insurance area. So I appreciate that change. And I guess I just wanted to point out that the reason I asked this to be on the regular agenda item and not the consent is not because I think that we can deny this agenda item. We need to have a health insurance benefit plan for our employees, obviously, and I think you negotiated a pretty good deal. I mean, from what I'm hearing from other people who are seeing their rates increase, and from what I had to experience, my rate increase, and what I have to pay more for from what I paid last year with my company, this is far superior. I just wanted this to be known so that as we continue in the budget discussions, we recognize that employees are, going to have added costs. And what I want to avoid is them having a lesser paycheck next year than they have this year. And so, but to your credit, you've done a great job.
Well, and I wish I could
this.
take all the credit. Obviously, Mr. Roush has been heavily involved in the financial portion of that. Valley Schools, Hayes Company have done a terrific job in servicing us. We're very, very pleased with what we're doing. Again, our hope is that many of those people in that top PPO plan will look hard at that plan. And if they're moving from that plan, they could actually see some additional money in that take-home pay if they were able to move, especially into the high-deductible health plan. It's a good deal.
Fund to our own trust fund.
Trust fund.
So we don't have no third party. So fully insured means that when we were with ASBATE, we just paid no matter how well we did. So we could have, because of our demographics, made money for that particular, the ASBATE trust. Now we're our own plan. We're our own folks. We design it. Any profit that we have, it goes back into a trust fund. And so that's one of the major changes that we did. And there's a break even, and we got big enough that we made that jump, and it's been very positive.
Where do you think that a new HR specialist would fit in all this?
That's a great question, Dr. Miller. And I'm just going to be honest with you. One of the things that we did lose when we moved away from ASBATE, though, was our broker services. And we had a much more hands-on broker at that point in time. I think the cost savings was significant enough that it made sense to do it. But as a result of that, our HR specialists have picked up a significant larger load on that work. And I think this HR specialist will help us to get our other two specialists back to doing what I want them to do in dealing with people and being more human in the resource department. We do push a lot of paper on the computer screens a lot, and we just need to do more with people.
Are there any other questions or motions?
I would motion to approve as written.
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Discussion and possible approval of the first reading of JFABD. This was brought back from their last meeting, Dr. Chestnut.
If you'd like, I can take the lead on this. Or,
Well,
what
did ASBA say?
well, that's what I was going to bring back. I was going to thank Ms. Hahn for following up with ASBA and sending me the information. And so, as we know, that the No Kid Left Behind has changed, and we got the new rules through the ESS, and which is changing the definition of what the homeless students are, and they're excluding the foster children wait and placement. And so that's within Title IX, Part A of the ESS, and that was adopted December 10th of 2016. What we discovered through the ASBA is that there's one exception to this removal, is that covered states have until December 10th of 2017 to remove that designation from the definition. So then my next question is, are we a designated state? And so we're in the process of discovering that. When I say I sent the question to Dr. Chestnut, and so we're following up on that right now. So that's really all the information we have, and I was just wondering, actually I would like to table this until we receive that information if we are one of those states. I know there's only like maybe 4 or 5, so perhaps we probably are not, but I would like to know for sure, because then that would mean that there is a subset of students that would continue to receive services until December of 2017. Then
We can bring this back at the next meeting. We don't have to do anything with this agenda item. We could just bring it back at the next meeting.
Perfect.
Well, or whenever you get the information. It may
Right.
not be the next meeting.
Yeah.
But I thought I read in Chris Thomas's explanation that there was a subset for homeless waiting for foster. I thought it was down in the subset in the explanation that Chris gave. Maybe I read it wrong.
The only thing that he had explained was this, there's that exception for the removal, that for states that specifically defined what that subset, which is the foster children waiting placement, if they specifically defined that subset, then there is the exemption that we could wait until December 10th of 2017 until we have to exclude that subset from the definition, which one, it means that they would not be part of the nationwide point-in-time homeless count, and then also for the services that are provided within the school district for this subset, for homeless students.
I'm fine with waiting to bring it back until we have that information.
So, apparently, at some point, we're definitely going to have to change that, but I'd appreciate if we can do that. So, I would like to motion that we table this.
We don't have to do anything.
Okay.
Just leave it.
All right, thank you.
We'll bring it back to the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Hopefully.
Or whenever.
Well,
And-
we should probably hear.
I would imagine we'd hear it sooner than later. So again, I really appreciate Lisa and Dr. Chestnut for following up on sending us the information. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, let's move on then. Discussion and possible approval of first reading of policy GDJ, support staff assignments and transfers. Dr. Chestnut, are all these ASBA related?
Recommendations, yes.
Okay. Are there any discussions or motions?
I have a question.
Okay.
Are we currently doing this?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I want to know.
Motion to approve as stated.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll
Second.
Who wants it?
Gary can have it.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Discussion and possible approval of policy JR, student records.
If there's no discussion, I would like to motion to approve as written.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Discussion and possible approval of first reading of policy JRR, student surveys.
If
Any,
there's no further discussion, motion to approve as written.
do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Discussion and possible approval of first reading of policy LBD, relations with charter schools.
So I would just like to, my assumption is that in light of everything being crossed out, then this
It's going away.
is going away. Okay, I just want to make sure that, I don't like to assume, so. So I would like to, go ahead. Okay, I would like to motion to approve this.
I have a motion. Who wants a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And our last item, adjournment. Do I have a motion?
I like discussion. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes.
So moved.
Gotcha. Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion, opposed? Anybody? Okay.
So I think. what
Motion
you're
approves.
going-
8:54. We're adjourned. Thank you. I have one binder here, people. This one's already been signed.